Right.
All right, folks. Are you serious? Are you serious? Welcome to this broadcast, special broadcast today. We have Stan Deyo with us, and we're so glad he's with us today. Stan, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Caught up in all technology things here, all new computer stuff, and running around like a crazy man trying to hook up wires here and there today.
I just, I saw your email to me, and so that's
terabytes of information into the right places on that disk from my old disk. So it's going to be a busy weekend.
Oh my. Well, yes, it will. But hopefully you got some folks in it that can help you as well, unless you're going to do it all yourself.
Apple did the firmware and the computer as far as getting it ready to work, and then I took I have to do the apps myself because I have to buy those and put them in. So
yeah,
we'll get it done.
All right, Stan, we want to talk about these California wildfires a little bit because, I mean, here we go again. I know you've got the EMP shield. You've got the way to protect people's homes from these solar flares, surges, or just power surges, or even EMP explosions for that matter. But what's going on in California seems to be very disturbing. I mean, PG&E has filed bankruptcy. They're shutting off 1 million people without power, trying to prevent the fires. What is your take on this whole thing?
Well, I think the fires would have been avoidable if the greenies in California had allowed the burning of the underbrush, which is periodically done. That echoes in my ear. Sorry. Anyway, if they'd cleared the underbrush in time and the usual schedule, even the federal land manager will tell them that, then you wouldn't have so many fires spreading so rapidly because the underbrush, the dry stuff that drops down from the trees and grows underneath the trees, is what's allowing it to travel so rapidly and not be put out. I mean, Holly just was clearing part of our pine trees here this week, raking up, the debris that forms under there to avoid, rapid fire transmission here in our neighborhood. So it's just the common thing you do, but they're not allowing that to be done in California, which is really the cause of it. And when they shut down the power over there, they're doing their best to avoid arcs and things in the wind and stuff like that to trigger the fire that would burn the underbrush. But it's not the power company's fault in that respect. It's the fault of not clearing the underbrush. I tell that to 500,000 people without power now. They don't really care as long as they get their power back. But that coupled with lightning flashes that occur or static discharges off the power lines when the winds blow them. And then when they short out the circuit breaker boxes on houses, it starts a fire in the house without waiting for it to be spread from the trees around, which burns the house down first and then the surrounding brush after that. It's just a crazy situation. And the EMP shields do help that. I mean, Tim's developed a round one that fits into power meters now then to avoid those arcs, which would start the house fires, but that doesn't stop the fires out there in the bush.
So if a lot of listeners to California. So if they're watching, they're listening right now, whether it's live or archived, and they begin to hear this and they say, wow, if they get one of your units that they put on their home, it may prevent that when the winds are blowing, it may prevent that sparking in the house, is what you're saying.
Yeah, what happens is the wind blows like that and you'll get voltage surges, spikes. And, some people have spike arresters, in their homes already. Our device's EMP Shield does that. Plus, it's a lot faster, so it cuts off quicker to allow the shorts not to happen inside the house. I wish that people had these. We didn't have them ready in time for the last series of California fires. But that would stop the arc fires from their power box, their circuit breaker box. It won't stop wind-driven fireballs, blowing over the tops of the pine trees and hitting them. It won't stop that.
No.
But what needs to be done really is to clear the underbrush, and it's a big job. You're not going to do it all at 1 year, but to clear that underbrush, burn it back, under control burns, and that will prevent a lot of the fires, traveling as far as they have. You can get them under control a lot quicker.
And that's what President Trump I think was trying to say when he talked to the governor, Jerry Brown, last year and the year before, when they had those 2 terrible years. And he kept saying, you haven't cleared your underbrush in over 20 years. And that was something, L.A. Marzulli told me that they used to do it in California. He lived there 35 years, and he said they used to clear the underbrush. He said, but about 20 years ago, there was this green initiative that said, you're cutting down brush and you're doing too much. And they felt that it was harmful to the natural habitat. And now here we are today.
Yeah, I mean, look, in nature, if man wasn't in the forest, building and whatever, over a period of time, there would be lightning-induced fires or some other spark that would burn, the trees down in the underbrush periodically anyway. What we do by doing it, man-made brush burn back, is that we extend the time between fires and the likelihood of fires. I don't know why California did it. I'm sure there's some, as you say, some greeny directive that led that initiative, but it was a mistake. And it's still a mistake if they don't reverse it.
Yeah, and well, what I'm hearing is that the green initiative out there they felt that this was hurting the habitat for certain rodents, certain snakes, certain, mammals. Yes, and it probably was. Okay. I mean, clearing it out, you got birds and you got animals that live in the trees, and then you got animals that live in the brush. So yeah, it probably was affecting their habitat to some degree, but I mean, at some point you have to start making decisions. What's the right move for people to live in a habitat like that?
Yeah, you do. And really, as I say, in nature, the underbrush gets burned back periodically by lightning storms and things like that. So in nature, it happens.
Right.
If we just do it in a controlled manner, we can at least give kind of a fire warning to the rodents and things. Move out of here and go to another dig for a while until this cools off.
I mean, if it works in nature with lightning strikes and wildfire burns, and they still come back and survive, then I think that, doing controlled burns, it'll work. Just what's the difference? I mean, this is ridiculous. So again, we've put ourselves in a position. We got all these homes, beautiful homes, and I've driven through California many times and looked at the beautiful homes in the hills, thinking, yeah, but if the underbrush doesn't get cleared and they get the Santa Ana winds and the lightning and the power lines start leaning up against the limbs and all of a sudden sparks fly, or in your case, as you know, some of the fires were not started by arsonists, was not started by lightning, was not started by careless campers, but was simply, in some cases, was definitely started by power lines, and in some cases, power surges that blew up the home or caused the fire in the home. That could have been prevented. I don't know what percentage of homes that burned down was caused by that, but I've heard that it's pretty significant, and it must have been, or PG&E would not be shutting down these massive power grids.
Yeah, I think that it did catch them shorthanded as far as that goes. But if you look at those photos and videos of that last series of fires, the ground around the houses were cleared. The trees were far enough away that it should have been a protective barrier. Like a fire break around the house. Right. And yet you saw the house burn down to ash right in the middle, and there were trees still standing around it that were green. They weren't even on fire. Duh. Yeah,
I mean, that right there says that could have been prevented. That was, and I wonder how many homes So your products that you have there, that EMP shield that you have, you can, if people would get those and put those on their box, on their meters, it would at least prevent that issue. I mean, can't stop the fireballs, can't stop the wildfires burning your direction, but man, it could prevent a fire starting in your house.
Right, it's surge protection.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been trying to talk to local power companies and co-ops. We've made a circular disc type shape EMP shield or surge protector that you can, like a sandwich, put inside your meter box, the smart meter box, and screw it in. The power company has to do it, but it's the same as our thing that we wire into the breaker panel inside. But this would also be protecting the smart meter box because it's right there where the surge comes in and bang, it throws it down to your ground rod and doesn't let it start a fire. We just didn't have it until about 2 months ago, sadly, but and we weren't making it for that purpose. But when we realized that we could just switch the design a little bit, that it would work, then it would protect the homes.
Now, you also have a surge protector system for people's cars in case of a solar flare, in case of EMP attack, let's say by North Korea or somebody. And Lord, now in today's world, we don't know who all might have that technology to do EMP attacks over the United States. But you have something to protect the cars. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not going to be foolproof because the Chinese have recently, we found out that they're using, instead of an EMP bomb that does 50,000 volts per square meter, it does 200,000. So some cars may receive, shocks to the instrumentation. It's kind of hard to know which kind of bomb they're going to use, but certainly there will be maybe 70-80% of the cars that were made before 2 years ago, 2017, that would weather an EMP strike. They would lose some of their instruments, their dashboard instruments, but they would start again and run. But our device is that bridge in it, that 70 to 100%, that 30% margin where they would fail from the EMP strike. We're trying to fill that gap to allow it to save all the cars, at least, the ignition systems and things like that, so you can drive away from wherever you're stopped.
And Stan, also, as we're talking about wildfires burning California, and folks, this is Stan Deyo over at EMP Shield. Of course, if you are very interested in getting a surge protecting system that you can put on your home, very easy to install, or on your car, he has certainly developed a great product for that can really save your appliances in case of a massive solar flare, and which this weekend, by the way, there's going to be, the solar winds are going to be blowing off the surface of the sun at 700 kilometers per second, earth facing, which means we're going to be getting some very strong solar energy, CMEs, coming right off the surface of the sun over a 4 or 5 day period here. And you never know when you're going to have a Carrington event again or some other large event. We've seen transmissions blowed out. So how often, Stan, I guess that's a question, but how often does a surge from the sun affect the earth?
Well, probably several times a month. It depends upon which direction, it's going and whether we're passing through it. The solar wind, which is a charged particle wind that comes off the sun, is like a Catherine wheel, like it's spinning around, and it has about 4 main arms to it. And so when we pass through one of those arms on Earth, that's the strongest time. And then there's a gap in between the next arm, and the solar wind diminishes but doesn't stop. But in addition to that, the coronal mass ejections that occur, solar flares that occur, can augment that with a sudden burst. Now, what you're talking about for this weekend is an emission coming from like a dark hole, if you wish, in the surface of the sun, pointing right at us, Earth directed. Right. Now that is, that happens, maybe every 28 days if you got a cycle that starts. But sometimes it can occur within that period where another hole opens up somewhere else along the surface of the sun. You're only worried about the ones that are pointed at us, that are Earth directed, for some of the really bad things that happen, like the Carrington event. The Carrington event it's kind of hard to say how often that occurs, but okay, maybe every 150, 180 years. It's an educated guess by statisticians about when it's going to occur next. This solar cycle, this last one, solar cycle 24, was unusual in that the sunspot numbers were dropping, but we were seeing a lot more coronal mass ejections more frequently. 3 or 4 or 5 times a month, you'd get one that was serious. This one here is going to produce magnetic storms, probably what's graded as a G1, which is not the highest level of storm, but still it is coming our direction. Some people may also notice when that solar wind storm hits us that they get sleepy or tired during the high part of the solar storm.
Really?
It affects some people, and they get tired, like very sleepy, and then it passes. But something with the magnetic field affects some humans and animals as well.
And pain, and also it affects arthritis too, doesn't it? I mean, the joints.
I don't know. I
always feel it then. And when it hits us, my wife will say to me, "What are you feeling? Some joint pain?" I said, "Yeah." She'll ask me, "Well, is there any solar flares today?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Now that you just bring it up, we're supposed to be."
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew from EMP Shield, and today I'm excited to show you our new technology, the world's first whole home EMP protection device. With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps. So, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like our video and post any comments you have down below. We're sure you guys are going to have quite a few questions, so our engineers are going to be on standby to answer any questions you may have. Most importantly, be sure to share our video, as we're sure your friends are also going to be interested in our new technology. Help us get an EMP Shield into every house in America. Thanks again for watching. Bye.
That's a great explanation of that. Folks, Stan Deyo's with us here today. Stan, let's also talk a little bit about these earthquakes that we've been witnessing. The swarms along the California coast, a lot of people are concerned about, as well as all the way up in the Cascadia subduction zone. What is your take on, they're saying that the United States government is saying they're going to invest in billions and billions of dollars of new monitoring systems because they're very afraid that either one, the Cascadia subduction zone or all of the San Andreas fault line and all that area along the coast of California, will that help us if we get a better understanding where we're at with it?
Yeah, to a degree. The wise person would make preparations now and be looking at properties elsewhere, I think, out of California. I know that's not supposed to be said, public and everything, but I'm an unofficial source, so I can get away with it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you go to our website, standeyo.com, and go down, it's on the first page on the lower right-hand side where the microphone is. It'll say Show Images. And if you click on that Show Images link, it'll take you to 4 different shows that I get interviewed on. And yours is the first one on the top left. And if they click on that, you'll see some images I've got of the earthquakes there in the Ridgecrest area and what's happening and how they're spreading.
Yep.
Since July this year, there have been over 35,000 earthquakes in that area. Now, they're a lot of small ones, but they're precursor effects or quakes to either a magma eruption or a volcano right underneath Ridgecrest. There are 3 main hotspots there, and the government of California has long ago noted those hotspots. And the top one on the top left, in fact, if you get to the Show Images page, to slide 43 fault lines and seismic threat zones around the Garlock Fault. This fault line runs from Ridgecrest, kind of south west toward the San Andreas Fault, and the connecting fault between Ridgecrest and the San Andreas is called the Garlock Fault. It has never, in recorded history, had earthquakes or fault slippage. It has it now. It's had it in the last week, and you can see the cluster of them there, which tells people what I was warning about 2 months ago. Watch it at a T-junction there. Now, if that continues to shake like that and pass it on over to the San Andreas, it may trigger the big one. Now, this is, to me, this is an important issue to observe and to prepare for. Personally, I wouldn't want to be living in California west of the mountains there. You go toward the Rockies and beyond before it's too late. I do think we're going to see 7 to 8 volcanoes erupting simultaneously when the plate slippage along the whole west coast starts to break, and the Cascadia subduction zone will become active with all the volcanoes at once, all the way down to even to Mexico, to Popocatépetl outside Mexico City. This what we're seeing right now is a worry. I think it's a wake-up call to the people that are thinkers. Might be time to, look at other properties.
7 to 8 volcanoes simultaneously? That is unbelievable.
I can see it. The possibility of running from Mount St. Helens, which is already forming another bulge, all the way down, as I say, to Mexico City. There will be major volcanoes along that area. And there will be, I'm sure, a lot of people trapped and not being able to get across the mountains because these volcanoes will be spewing ash and water, water vapor, which will condense on the roads. They'll be slippery. There will be roads blocked by people sliding off, and crashing, trying to get across the mountains. It'll be too late then. So you just have to deal with what happens.
You're the second person that I've interviewed that has made this statement. Mike from Around the World, that we interview a lot of times, going to interview him tonight at 10 o'clock, said the same thing to me about 3 months ago and said, I kept talking about the California San Andreas fault line in Cascadia, and he said, I'm going to just tell you something. I know you're concerned. A lot of people are concerned about California having a massive, big earthquake and fall into the ocean. He said, but the truth is the volcanic eruptions that will be simultaneous. There's 13, I think he said there's 13 volcanoes along the entire coast of California, maybe all the way up to Washington State. When you're talking Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, all the way down. And he said you could look for a simultaneous chain reaction of volcanic explosions that would probably be around 6 or 7 at a time. So he said that, and I just said I can't even understand that. And now you're saying the same thing. Is the magma moving, Stan? Is that part of the reason for this or is it the tectonic plates moving? What would cause 7 or 8 volcanoes to erupt simultaneously?
All right. As I say, you can look on California's energy maps. They show for thermal energy sources or resources on the west side of the mountains where California is. They show the hot spots where the magma is up close enough to the surface that they can drill pipeline holes down there, make steam, and make electricity from it back up through another pipe. Now, that's thermoelectric generation. So it is a known fact that these magma pools are there. What happens, though, is when if you're looking at, like with my hands here, if you're looking at California being here and the Pacific plate here sliding underneath, when this breaks like that and snaps, it's going to release cracks. They'll make cracks all across the border up close to the mountains on the west side of the United States there, and it's going to allow the magma, which is already there, to erupt, to become a volcano. Now, whether it will erupt, on all 13 possible volcanoes at once, I doubt, but there will be certain ones that are already close to the surface and building up a magma head, that when this crack releases the pressure for it to get out, you will have the eruptions. And it's the earthquake, the breaking of the plate, the tectonic plate, that will release the volcanoes. So it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, would a tsunami also take place in the midst of that?
When the earthquakes occur, yes. If you have a Richter 8 to 9, which certainly is possible in at least one place up off the Oregon and Washington coast in the Juan de Fuca plate. If you have a Richter 8 to 9 there, that will produce tsunamis. And, after tsunamis or aftershocks will produce more tsunamis for a period of hours, maybe a day or two. And that's that zone there. You could see some down further near the Baja. I don't know that the tsunamis from that would be focused in the right direction, but still they might be produced.
So you're thinking from, let's say, Mount St. Helens all the way down to that volcano down there in southern Mexico.
Mexico City, yeah.
Mexico City. That there's out of those 13, let's say, volcanoes or more, and maybe about 15 if you count the ones in Mexico, then there's a very strong possibility that 6 or 7 of those could be simultaneously erupting, because the big one, I'm saying if it's an earthquake, let's say of 8.0 or higher, could, in the right spot, could create a catastrophic event of biblical proportion that the likes like we haven't seen. It's happened before, but it's been a long time ago. I don't know if it's happened at that level, though, has it?
Well, it's happened up off the Oregon and Washington coast enough to make tsunamis that went inland and killed a bunch of trees. They found the fossilized tree trunks where the tsunamis went inland a certain distance. So it's happened before, maybe 150, 200 years ago. But we don't even need a Richter 9 for the volcanoes to start. We just need the fracture in the tectonic plate there that's being under pressure now. It's bending. We just need the fracture to slowly open up, and then the force of the magma pressure will do the rest.
Yep.
So don't look for a Richter 9, and that'll make the volcanoes. It can happen before that.
So
but it will be
a
seismic activity that triggers it.
Yeah, it could be a 6.0. Just yeah. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Once it puts a hole once a crack occurs and allows the magma to start to seep or start to release, the whole thing can blow them, because the pressure that's building underneath there is enormous, isn't it?
It is. And if you look at a cross section of the Ridgecrest quakes, if this was, sorry, let me put the hand over here like that. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at it backwards. If this was Ridgecrest here, and this was the San Andreas fault down here. Sorry, I'm doing it in a mirror image. Both of these, all along them, have magma chambers underneath them running like that. They're twins, parallel. And so when you see the Ridgecrest stuff happening now, and as I say, over 30,000 earthquakes since July.
That's crazy.
It is. And, I'm not making it up. I mean, you can look in the energy maps. The cross section shows you the magma pools under there that stretch up into 3 main sites along Ridgecrest, and they're starting to move. You're getting those little precursor cracks. It's like when you take a piece of plexiglass and you start to bend it like that, and start to make little micro fractures up there before, bang, the plexiglass breaks. And this is like the tectonic plate edge that we're seeing here. These 30,000 small quakes are certainly releasing stress, but they are precursors of a major event. It's going to snap. And when that happens, everything's going to happen. I mean, it's just going to be a chain of dominoes.
So right now, in your expert opinion, we're always worried about Yellowstone. We hear a lot about Yellowstone. We hear a lot about Cascadia subduction zone, and we hear a lot about that Southern California and the San Andreas fault line and all the different faults that run into it. Which one is the most urgent that we should watch right now?
I think I would keep my eye on the Ridgecrest area and Garlock Fault going into the San Andreas. That's the action area at the moment. I think you just have to look at it daily on USGS and look at the plot of the small earthquakes go from Richter 1 up. And when you start seeing little clusters like that form, then that's another area that is releasing stress. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it surprised the seismologists there at USGS. They have never, ever seen earthquakes on the Garlock Fault. It's been stable. And suddenly, for unknown reasons to them, they say it's now starting to happen. And I put it down to the crust stretching and cracking with the pressure, as it bends. and that's releasing the magma, which is then augmenting the crack, which is making it wider. It's a self-perpetuating event starting to happen.
You predicted this. I mean, you like you said, you came out with this concern before it actually started. You said, and I guess it's because you've been tracking the U.S. Geological Survey. You've been watching the maps daily, and you've been studying the trends. And you had a feeling, or scientifically, that this was a troubled area, and that eventually this was going to start happening. And when it does, it would be a big time sign, a danger zone, a warning. And and you predicted it would, and it is. So now you're real concerned, aren't you?
I am, and I think we're going to see more of this stuff happening. If you're looking at the show images page I set up for you there, if you look at slide 42, there's another evidence of something happening, which is sinkholes in Israel.
Yes.
Now, they're occurring faster and faster, like thousands a year now. They've got 6,000 that they've mapped, and that was just when I shut off the news today. If you click on that picture, it takes you to two areas of the Dead Sea, on the coast of it and inland a bit, into the sea part, where the ground is just sinkholes, like the bombing of Dresden in World War II. It's just bomb pits everywhere.
I've seen those. You can see those pictures, folks. I mean, they're amazing. I'm going to Israel next week, and I'm actually going to be taking the tour to the Dead Sea. I don't know what part of the Dead Sea exactly. Probably not there. Is this in the southern area of the Dead Sea, or where's it?
Yeah, it would be southwestern coast on the Israeli side of the Jordan.
Yeah.
But I've looked at these things, the bigger sinkholes elsewhere on the planet, and certainly they're happening in South America as well in the last week. When the Earth skin, the crust, the thin crust, starts to expand, whether it be from upwelling of heat and energy, pressures up underneath that plate, or whether it's the whole crust of the Earth expanding slightly, it starts to reduce the pressure on dirt. And like sand and limestone. Yeah, there's no sideways pressure. It's reduced as the surface of the planet expands. It's like a balloon where you before you blow it up entirely, you draw a little picture of a circle, and then you blow it up, and the circle starts to become little fragmented dots. Well, this is what happens when the surface of the Earth expands, and I'm seeing more and more of these sinkholes all over the planet, which it's mainly striking where there's water flow underneath where the sinkhole occurs. But the water flow has always been there, perhaps in a reduced amount, until the pressure of the Earth's surface, the side pressure, is reduced by this expansion, and then these sinkhole-prone areas with the water flows release large amounts of topsoil, because of the weakening of the field and the lubrication from the water. But here in the Dead Sea area, I mean, that's just it's phenomenal. I saw a thing by Perry Stone the other day on TV talking about the restructuring of the Dead Sea, which is fulfilling prophecy about preparing for the end times. And boy, I tell you what, after you read that and see this, wow, we must be getting close to something.
We are getting really close, Dan. There's no doubt about it. We're getting really, really close. I mean, the signs are everywhere. And if a person studies what's going on around the world, you start studying the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter, it's just like he tells you pole shifts and sounds in the heavens and quakes and all kinds of things. The earth's going to wobble and reel to and fro like a drunken man. That's just one chapter in the book of Isaiah. I mean, all through the Bible, as you know, we are given signs of what to watch for these last days to the earth. Not even talking about humanity and how man is acting, just the earth itself. The heavens and the earth together, shaking and quaking. It's quite significant. We're living in the end times, and people need to get ready, folks. Need to get ready.
That wobbling like a drunken man is, modern physicists and geologists would say, "Oh, look, the Earth is stable. It's a huge mass, and it's spinning. Nothing's going to turn it on its side like that." But they are ignoring the fact that the crust of the Earth, that thin top part that we live on, is separated from the rest of the planet underneath by soft stone that's like a ball bearing surface, if you wish. And if a meteor or an asteroid strikes the surface of the Earth at a shallow angle, it will spin the crust. Now, this has happened twice in recorded history from the Egyptian and Chinese records, where the North Pole and the South Pole shifted. The surface of the planet shifted upside down. This is one of the reasons they could never find Atlantis, because they were using modern east-west instead of the east-west before the Great Flood. Everything changed then.
Changed.
Yeah, and wobbling like a drunken man to me looks like the crust of the Earth being disturbed somehow. And it may be from the magnetic fields changing, which they are. They're weakening in the Earth.
Yeah.
And there are now 3 sets of north-south poles inside the Earth. And this may cause bumps, if you wish, in the momentum of the spin of the planet, which is transferred to the surface more than anything. And we'll see the planet just doing this, and people will wonder about it.
Well, Stan, I tell you what, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about this. Again, folks, if you need to go to his website, standeyo.com, or go to empshield.com. Now, use the promo code Begley. If you're going to be getting some of these products, you probably really do. If you don't have a shield protector on your home, on your electrical system, this is very important as we go further on, and the pressures that are on the Earth, the radiation levels that are right now 18% higher than they were 3 years ago. The sun is becoming very volatile. I believe it's possibly from Planet X, Nibiru, some type of binary system. It's not just affecting the Earth, it's affecting the whole sun and all the planets. Our whole solar system is being affected. And, and look, it's always safe to be protected, both your home and your car. So check it out. Go to EMP Shield and use the promo code Begley, or pick up the phone and call them at 620-412-9978. That's 620-412-9978. Stan, what should they do? You got any specials going? Is there anything they need to know?
Well, I think Holly put it up on our website here. We've the Dare to Prepare book, which is kind of the Bible for preppers here. We're running low. I think we've got about 30, 40 copies left, and we're going to be out of stock until the end of November. So if you're thinking about doing it for Christmas or whatever, I'd do it now.
Okay, there you go, folks. Get involved in this, all right, at empshield.com. And as always, Stan, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I'm sorry we had some difficulty there with our technical difficulty getting started, but there's some really good information in this program today.
Well, appreciate the effort and that you guys do to spread the word, and may it continue.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thank you. God bless. Folks, we'll see you next time. We'll be interviewing Michael Bodia at 8 p.m. tonight, so stay tuned for that right here on The Coming Apocalypse.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew from EMP Shield, and today I'm excited to show you our new technology, the world's first whole home EMP protection device. With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps. So, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like our video and post any comments you have down below. We're sure you guys are going to have quite a few questions, so our engineers are going to be on standby to answer any questions you may have. Most importantly, be sure to share our video, as we're sure your friends are also going to be interested in our new technology. Help us get an EMP Shield into every house in America. Thanks again for watching. Bye.